you're currently not consistently saving money into your ISA, this video is for you. Today, we want to share with you why saving money into your ISA should be a priority now more than ever before.
Yep, we recently did a poll on our communities tab here on YouTube and asked you guys, how much money do you currently have saved in all your ISAs? And the results were very interesting. I'll put this up on the screen for us to see. About 1,500 of you guys who responded so far by the time we made this video said that you had less than £10,000 in all your ISAs, ISAs being an individual savings account. A further 22% said that they had between £10,000 and £25,000. And if you add those two together, it works out to be 75% of the respondents had less than £25,000. First of all, a massive well done for actually having some savings given the current economic climate.
Yeah. We then did a bit more research into ISA savings just to see how normal this was, and according to the Resolution Foundation taking data from the HMRC, we found the following data. Now we're going to put this up on the screen for you to look at yourself, and this stat literally sent chills down our bodies. I mean, if you just look at that figure on the screen, it looks at the average family ISA pot by location and by ethnicity, and the average black family has £3,000 in ISA savings compared to £5,000 for Asian families and £15,000 for a white family, and this is 5 times the average more than a black family.
Yeah, I mean, this literally shocked us when we saw it.
Yeah.
And we'd love for you guys to actually react in the comments. Did this number actually shock you? I mean, for us, we obviously know that there are massive disparities in income by ethnicity, and black households on average earn significantly less than other races compared to the white households, for example. But seeing it in black and white in research, typically this data is not easily accessible in a way that most people understand, but seeing it in clear black and white really hit for us.
Yeah.
So jump in the comments and actually react and tell us if this data actually surprises you. Now, this not only speaks to disparities, as I mentioned earlier, from an income perspective, which then means that people are not able to save as much. It also speaks to systemic issues from a UK perspective. So again, looking at more data related to this, the UK has historically been known since the 1980s to have a historical low average savings rate per household. In 4 out of every 5 years since the 1980s, the UK has ranked the lowest in all of the G7 economies in the world.
Wow.
Okay, I'm going to put this chart up on the screen for us to see. Okay, so this not only speaks to systemic issues in the UK, but also speaks to other kind of racial dimensions, as well as more systematic related issues from a racial dimension that actually means that different groups of people are not able to save as much as they would love to save. Then you throw in the fact that many people are struggling to save with the current challenges with cost of living as well. I
mean, when you just look at those stats, it can just all feel like a bit too much to think about, and you could feel like throwing it in and just giving up on savings altogether. But this is a subject that cannot be ignored, especially when you think about the implications that it has on our future goals, for example, retirement. So today we want to shed light on why it is important for you to prioritize your ISA savings now more than ever, especially for wealth building. Now, we're doing this because we know that awareness goes a long way in encouraging you to save more.
Now, we're going to focus specifically on the stocks and shares ISA for this video, but if you'd love us to make a part 2 looking at how you can boost your ISA savings more generally, drop us a comment and let us know, and we'll see based on the responses we get whether we should go ahead and make a part 2. If you're loving today's video, really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button as a way to support our channel. All right, let's dive straight in.
All right, so the first point as to why you should prioritize your stocks and shares ISAs now is you get a £20,000 allowance per tax year to save and invest into your stocks and shares ISA. And if you're a couple, that's £40,000 a year. And with the tax year around the corner, if you don't use up this tax allowance, you will lose it. Now, this isn't to say that you should use up all of your tax allowance, but try to do as much as you possibly can within the tax year.
And the second reason is that your ISA, particularly the stocks and shares ISA, is an environment where you can invest your money without any taxes being levied at all. So you don't get any capital gains tax, no income taxes, no tax on your dividends, and so on. This account is literally gold. This account is particularly suited to people who have an investment horizon of more than 5 years. So if you're building wealth, you're thinking long term, and you want your money to outperform inflation, then you should really focus your efforts on putting money into a stocks and shares ISA. Now, one thing I find particularly encouraging when I think about my stocks and shares ISA is to run some scenarios. So go online, go on Google, for example, and search for a compound interest calculator. And on there, you can then make some scenarios. I'm going to put one up on the screen, for example. Imagine that you are going and investing the full £20,000 per annum allowance. I'm sure that obviously not everybody can do that, but I'm just running this scenario for a hypothetical reason. Imagine you did that and say you had a 10K savings right now, and then you're investing 20K per annum over the next decade with an 8% average return, for example. Up on the screen is an example of the sort of projections you can see. You can see on there that your future value of your investment will be £329,200. You will have put 200K in, 20K in per year over 10 years with your initial 10K allowance. And a whopping £119,160 will be the additional returns that will come from compounding. Now, this is a hypothetical example, an extreme example, if I may even say so. But the main point of me mentioning that is you should get on there, get onto a compound interest calculator and just play around with it with some scenarios based on the savings that you could actually make realistically on a monthly basis. This will help to keep you motivated to try to save more into your stocks and shares ISA and see your money invested.
Next is that it offers you flexibility to take out your money whenever you want if you needed to. And this is particularly important if you choose to retire earlier, further along in the future, either down to choice or down to necessity, for example, due to ill health.
Reason number 4 is that there are massive tax changes literally around the corner from when we're making this video.
Yeah.
You might know that there were big changes made to our taxes last autumn that are expected to kick in from the 6th of April coming up. So one of those changes is the changes to capital gains tax, the allowances we get. So we get a tax-free allowance at the moment of £12,300 per year. From the start of the new tax year, that's going to go down significantly, pretty much halved to £6,000. And then the following year, that's dropping to £3,000.
That's insane.
That's literally insane. It's a huge impact on people.
Wow.
In addition to that, the tax-free dividends allowance of £2,000 is going to be halved to £1,000 in the next tax year, and then it's going to be halved further to only £500. All of this kicks in on the 6th of April coming up, literally in just a few weeks.
They're after our coins.
Literally that. This means that more than ever, it's very important to have your money growing in a tax-efficient environment. Because remember, with the ISA, with stocks and shares ISA, your dividends don't get taxed. Any gains you essentially get from your investments at the moment, I should stress, do not get taxed. This is also important for people who have cash ISAs who might be thinking of long-term wealth building. If you're that sort of person, you're thinking long-term building, then you really want to also be thinking about shifting perhaps your cash ISA balances potentially to a stocks and shares environment where that money has the potential to outperform inflation, as mentioned previously before. But the key point is really to get your money into that tax wrapper so that you are protected from the changes that are coming from a capital gains tax perspective and so on.
Next is that with rising interest rates, you're far more likely to exceed the amount you can earn in tax-free interest on savings outside your ISA. Basic rate taxpayers can earn up to £1,000 in savings interest per year with no tax. And higher rate taxpayers can earn up to £500 in savings interest per year with no tax. So the more of your money you have in a tax-free ISA, the better.
All right, so this next one's literally going to be an utter disaster if they actually made this happen. There's some research by the think tank Resolution Foundation that they're actually making suggestions that the ISAs should be capped at £100,000 tax-free limit. This has not become a law yet. This has not come into force yet, but they are making this as a recommendation. Now, this personally, having read the report, the report's called ISA Baby, which we'll put a link to it below if it's going to check it out. But they're making these recommendations because they, according to their research, they believe that only the really wealthy benefit from ISAs? Okay, I'd love you guys to actually react in the comments. Do you believe that only the wealthy benefit from ISAs? Yeah. I completely disagree.
I disagree.
Because from what we know and from what our audience, surveying our audience, trying to understand, how people are saving money and what their goals are, we know that hard-working people on average incomes, low incomes, medium incomes, higher incomes are all trying to build wealth over time, right? But the way this system is set up, the way things are set up in the UK, it's almost as though they're always trying to hold you down. They're always trying to hold you beneath the thumb.
Exactly.
They're always trying to take away every single attempt for people to build wealth. I'm personally frustrated about this because it's like there's just a personal attack on people who are not mega rich or mega wealthy or anything like that, trying to get by and build wealth over time. So this is the proposal they've got, and their suggestion is that if they did this based on research, and I'll put this up on the screen, it will net for the government £1 billion per year in tax receipts. So essentially what they're trying to suggest is that they'll cap the ISA allowance tax-free 100k, and then beyond that, any stocks and shares ISAs will be taxed as capital gains. Gains on stocks and shares ISAs will be taxed as capital gains, and any interest on cash ISAs will be taxed based on income tax. And then based on that, they are estimating for 2023, 2024, around £1 billion will be raised by the government. Now, I've got no issues with, obviously, the government doing what they need to do. Obviously they run the country. That's beyond my pay grade. But the thing is our job here is to try to encourage our audience to manage their finances better, to save money, to prepare for the future, to save for retirement, all these various things. And the data even shows that the UK is like pitifully below the G7, if you look at other economies, advanced economies, from an average savings rate perspective.
Very low.
So it's almost as though they're coming for everything.
Yeah.
And that's just not on. But I would love to hear from you guys in the comments to hear what you actually think. Because if you think about it, you might think this is not your problem right now. You might be like, yeah, that's not my problem. That's for those people who earn a decent, who earn an above average income. But think about it. If you think about it, you'll probably watch our channel because you're trying to grow your income. You're trying to develop your skills. Trying to get a promotion. You're trying to grow your wealth. All these things mean that you're trying to advance yourself.
Your circumstances could change.
Yeah, exactly. And it will change. If you're watching our channel, we expect you to become wealthier over time.
Absolutely.
But if they place a glass ceiling over you and put that cap, what motivation do you have? So it'll be really interesting to hear. But essentially, we're raising this point to essentially say that we don't know how they're going to do this if it does come into force. We don't know. But as soon as people start talking about stuff, this is usually like, these rumors have a way of becoming real effectively one day. I'm not saying it will, I'm just saying this is what tends to happen. So effectively what we're saying here is this: prioritize your ISAs more than ever. Okay, because we don't know if you've crossed 100k, and now I'm speaking to a minority of people, because even from our community, when we did that research with that poll, it said here that 6% of people had savings over £1,000 from our audience. Okay, and 7% had between 50k and 100k. So you can see, like, people are advancing themselves, and they're trying their best to try and build wealth and prepare for the future. So we want to know from you guys.
6% had a savings of 100,
over 100k. Over 100k, right? So now I'm speaking to a minority, but I'm just saying this is a time more than ever to prioritize saving into your ISAs, particularly your stocks and shares ISA, and get your money into that tax-free environment, because we don't know how they're going to apply this rule, whether it's going to apply to people who've crossed that 100k already or not. But if you try and get your money in there as much as you can, as soon as you can, I believe that just serves you much better for the future.
Absolutely. So that's it, guys. We hope that you knowing why you need to prioritize saving more money into your stocks and shares ISA will be a motivation for you to continue to do so and to do more. And the biggest motivator is to have a why for your savings. The more that you can connect a why that you need to save more, the more that you will be motivated to earn more and save more into your stocks and shares ISA.
Guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. Don't forget to let us know in the comments if you would like us to do a part 2 to this video, talking about different ways that you can boost your ISA savings. If you'd love to see that, jump in the comments and let us know. And in the future, we'll link to it above if we do actually make that video. Thanks again for watching today's video, guys. And as always, in all things, be thankful and seek joy. Take care, people.
Bye.
Much love. Bye.